Colorado isn't just mountains and ski towns. It's a land where rivers flow the wrong direction, deserts rise out of snow-capped valleys, and ancient cities cling to cliffs like something out of another world. Today, you're about to discover 35 amazing facts about Colorado that will flip everything you thought you knew about the Centennial State. 35. The myth of Colorado's perfect rectangle. Everyone thinks Colorado is a simple, clean-cut rectangle, but that's one of the biggest geographical illusions in the United States. On a map, it looks flawless, straight lines, sharp corners, perfect geometry. But walk the actual border with a precise surveying tool and the truth appears. Colorado doesn't have 4 sides, it has 697. Back in the 1870s, surveyors had to drag heavy equipment across brutal terrain. Mountains, canyons, rivers, endless plains. With no GPS and barely any visibility, they drifted off their intended latitude and longitude again and again. Every time they placed a stone marker slightly offline, that tiny mistake became law. Over time, those small errors added up to hundreds of microscopic zigzags. And because the government legally accepted those markers, Colorado is technically shaped like a 697-sided polygon, a shape so rare that most geometry books don't even mention it. Colorado may look perfect on a map, but its real edges tell a story of human error, harsh wilderness, and a 19th century race to draw straight lines across a landscape that refused to cooperate. 34. The Battle of the High Peaks. Colorado's tallest mountains aren't just geological giants, they're the center of one of the strangest rivalries in state history. Mount Elbert stands proudly at 14,440 feet, the highest peak in Colorado and the entire Rocky Mountain range. Right next door is Mount Massive, only 12 feet shorter but dramatically broader and far more imposing. During the Great Depression, those 12 tiny feet became a matter of mountain pride. Supporters of Mount Massive believed their mountain deserved the crown because of its sheer bulk and sprawling ridgelines. So, in an act of pure determination, and maybe boredom, they began hauling giant rocks up the mountain, one backpack load at a time. Their goal? Artificially increase Mount Massive's height and dethrone Mount Elbert. Naturally, Team Elbert wasn't having it. Every time a Massive supporter built up the cairn, an Elbert loyalist would hike up and tear it down. This bizarre back and forth continued until authorities stepped in, declaring the natural elevations official. But the rivalry lives on as a reminder that in Colorado, even mountains can start turf wars. 33. The Wandering Point of the Four Corners. The Four Corners Monument is one of America's most iconic crossroads. The only place where Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico meet at a single point. Tourists love stretching out like starfish, placing a hand and foot in each state. But here's the geographical twist. The monument isn't actually where it was supposed to be. The original surveyors in 1875 intended the intersection to sit at exactly 37 degrees north latitude and 109 degrees 3 minutes west longitude. But using 19th century equipment in harsh desert terrain wasn't exactly precise work. Modern GPS measurements later revealed something surprising. The famous Four Corners marker is about 1,800 feet east of the true intended location. So does that mean millions of photos are wrong? Technically, no. Because the 4 states officially agreed to the marker's position over a century ago, the physical monument legally defines the boundary, even if the math was slightly off. It's one of the rare cases where geography had to bow to history, turning a simple surveying mistake into a permanent, tourist-filled landmark. 32. The Great Divide that splits the sky. Stretching like a massive spine across Colorado, the Continental Divide is one of the most important natural boundaries in North America. For roughly 470 miles, it runs along the crest of the Rocky Mountains, cutting the state into 2 completely different worlds. Here's the mind-bending part. If you stood on that ridgeline and poured out a bottle of water, half would eventually find its way to the Atlantic Ocean, while the other half would travel toward the Pacific. One simple pour, 2 different oceans. This invisible line also shapes the entire state's climate. To the west, storms rolling in from the Pacific slam into towering peaks, dropping snow and feeding rugged forests and canyons. To the east, the air dries out as it descends toward the Great Plains, creating sunnier, warmer conditions. It's not just a divide, it's the atmospheric switchboard of the entire Rockies. a geographic boundary so powerful that it controls where rivers flow, where towns thrive, and how the weather behaves on both sides of Colorado. 31. Living on the highest ground. Colorado isn't just the home of towering peaks, the entire state lives in the sky. With an average elevation of 6,800 feet, Colorado has the highest mean altitude of any state in the country. To put that in perspective, much of Colorado's flatland is higher than entire mountain ranges in other parts of the United States. This elevation creates some surprising everyday effects. Water boils at a lower temperature, meaning cooking takes longer. The air is thinner, allowing more ultraviolet radiation to reach the ground. Even hiking a mild trail can feel like a workout if you're not used to the altitude. It's a state where the lowlands are still highlands, where even the valleys sit closer to the clouds than the summits of many states back east. Colorado isn't just elevated in reputation, it's literally elevated above almost everything around it. 30. The desert hidden in the mountains. Tucked against the base of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains lies one of Colorado's most surreal landscapes, the Great Sand Dunes, home to the tallest dunes in North America. Some of these golden giants rise over 750 feet, towering like desert skyscrapers in the middle of a high-altitude valley. It feels impossible, a sprawling Sahara surrounded by snow-capped peaks. But this bizarre desert in the sky exists thanks to a perfect natural trap. For thousands of years, winds pushed sand across the San Luis Valley, only for it to slam against the massive mountain wall and pile up into shifting peaks. And then there's Medano Creek, a shallow ribbon of water that flows along the base of the dunes. Its gentle surge waves make it feel like a miniature ocean beach, even though you're standing over a mile above sea level. It's one of the most dramatic contrasts in the entire country, a living desert carved by wind, hugged by mountains carved from ice. Before continuing, be sure to like and subscribe. Let's keep discovering the weird and amazing geography of our country. 29. The MSIV flat world of Grand Mesa. Colorado may be famous for its sharp, jagged peaks, but on the western side of the state sits something completely different, a mountain that's perfectly flat on top. This is Grand Mesa, the largest flat-topped mountain on Earth. It stretches across 500 square miles, rising to nearly 11,000 feet like a giant tabletop lifted into the sky. What makes Grand Mesa so unusual is the thick layer of volcanic basalt that caps it. Millions of years ago, lava cooled into a rock so tough that it resisted the erosion, carving away everything around it. The softer valleys sank, while the mesa stayed standing. Because of its flat, elevated surface, the mesa acts like a massive alpine sponge. It holds over 300 lakes, surrounded by forests that feel completely different from the dry desert terrain below. Standing at the mesa's edge feels like staring off the rim of the world, a sudden, stunning drop into the red canyons and winding rivers far beneath you. It's a mountain, but with the soul of a plateau, and a landscape that doesn't look like it belongs anywhere on Earth. 28. The humble birth of the Rio Grande. Most people imagine the Rio Grande winding through dusty deserts and canyon walls in the southwest. But its story begins far from the heat, high in the icy silence of the San Juan Mountains. Up here, thousands of tiny snowflakes fall across a rugged world carved by volcanic rock and alpine ridgelines. When spring arrives, these snowflakes melt, forming small trickles that snake downward through meadows and forests. At first, they're nothing more than cold threads of water slipping between stones. But those threads merge into small streams. Those streams merge into creeks. And those creeks finally gather into the earliest stretch of a river that will travel nearly 1,900 miles, shaping farmland, ecosystems, and entire cities. As it sweeps through the San Luis Valley, the young Rio Grande cuts into ancient volcanic formations, leaving behind deep canyons with walls that glow red at sunset. It's strange to think that water used by farmers in Texas or by families living near the Mexican border may have started as a snowflake resting quietly on a lonely Colorado peak. Colorado doesn't just create rivers, it creates lifelines that flow across the continent. 27. The High Club of 58 Peaks. Colorado doesn't just have mountains, it has an entire sky world rising above everything else. With 58 peaks over 14,000 feet, the state is the undisputed champion of 14ers in the lower 48. These summits rise like frozen waves, each one shaped by ancient tectonic collisions, volcanic events, and millions of years of climbing glaciers. Each mountain range has its own personality. The Sawatch Range stretches like a wall of giants, the San Juans feel rugged and volcanic, full of color and chaos, and the Sangre de Cristo Range shoots up like cathedral spires. Together, they create the highest concentration of alpine terrain in the country. These peaks control weather, redirect storms, shelter rare plants, and create thin air environments where even a short hike can feel like stepping into another world. Many of these summits spend more time in the clouds than they do in clear skies. Colorado isn't just home to tall mountains, its identity is the mountains. 26. A bridge across the chasm. The Royal Gorge is one of the most dramatic scars in Colorado's landscape, a deep, narrow canyon carved aggressively by the Arkansas River over millions of years. At its most breathtaking point, the walls shoot almost 1,000 feet straight into the sky while the river rages below, squeezed into a channel barely 50 feet wide. Suspended across this monumental chasm is the Royal Gorge Bridge, a structure that seems almost impossible at first glance. Built in 1929, it became an engineering legend, a bridge hanging in midair over what looks like a crack in the earth. Wind whistles across the cables. The canyon echoes far below. From the center of the span, the world feels split in half. The gorge's steep, confined pathway was so valuable in the 1800s that competing railroads literally fought a small war, the Royal Gorge War, just for the right to lay track through the only available space. Today, the bridge stands where geology and human determination collided, creating one of the most unforgettable views in the American West. 25. The road to the clouds. Driving the Mount Blue Sky Scenic Byway feels like traveling through several worlds stacked on top of each other. At the base, you begin in thick evergreen forests filled with wildlife. As you climb, the trees twist into ancient bristlecone pines, some over 1,000 years old, survivors shaped by centuries of wind, drought, and lightning. Higher still, the world suddenly opens. Trees disappear. The landscape shifts into a rocky tundra so barren it feels arctic. The air thins quickly. Even the wind sounds different. At 14,130 feet, the summit doesn't just offer a view, it offers perspective. You're standing higher than many airplane flight paths, looking down at valleys, lakes, and entire cities far below. This is the highest paved road in North America, a place where the line between earth and sky blurs into one experience. 24. The sky blue treasure of Mount Antero. High in the Sawatch Range, Mount Antero hides a treasure chamber carved by nature itself. Here, above 13,000 feet, prospectors hunt for aquamarine crystals, sky blue gemstones formed in pockets of cooling magma millions of years ago. These crystals hide inside cracks and cavities known as vugs, protected by granite that has endured centuries of storms, snow, and violent freeze-thaw cycles. Reaching them is never easy. The slopes are steep, the air is thin, the weather can turn dangerous without warning. But for those who make the climb, the reward can be magical. Delicate, transparent crystals tinted the color of high-altitude sky. It's one of the only places in America where treasure literally grows in the clouds. 23. The Great River that lost its name. Colorado's namesake river wasn't always called the Colorado River, and it didn't officially begin in Colorado. For decades, the section of the river flowing through the mountains was labeled the Grand River, while the Colorado River began at its confluence with the Green River in Utah. Coloradans were not amused. In 1921, Representative Edward Taylor pushed Congress to rename the Grand River to the Colorado River, a move fueled by state pride and strategic water rights. If the river carried Colorado's name, the state would gain stronger leverage in water negotiations throughout the entire basin. Today, the river officially begins in the snowy, never-summer mountains, gathering speed as it carves deep canyons and fuels ecosystems across the West. But the old identity still lingers in places named Grand Junction, Grand Lake, and Grand County, quiet reminders of the river's former life. 22. The massive liquid heart of the Rockies. Colorado isn't just shaped by snow and ice, it's powered by heat bubbling up from deep inside the earth. In Glenwood Springs, you'll find the largest mineral hot springs pool on the planet. More than 1 million gallons of water fill the pool, fed by geothermal forces far beneath the surface. Water seeps deep underground, heats up from Earth's internal heat, absorbs minerals, and pushes upward through fractures in the crust. By the time it reaches the surface, it emerges at scalding temperatures, nearly 122 degrees Fahrenheit. This natural, mineral-rich water has flowed for thousands of years, forming an oasis in the middle of a rugged mountain canyon. While Colorado's mountains may look cold and still, the ground beneath them is very much alive. 21. The Dinosaur Highway of the Front Range. Just west of Denver lies Dinosaur Ridge, a hillside where ancient worlds are literally exposed for all to see. Here, more than 100 dinosaur footprints, fossil beds, and ripple marks from an ancient inland sea lie tilted at a steep angle, all because the Rocky Mountains rose and shoved these rock layers upward. Walking along the ridge feels like stepping through time. You can stand beside the three-toed prints of massive plant eaters, see trackways from the Jurassic period, and touch stone that once rested at the bottom of a prehistoric shoreline. This dramatic tilting of the Earth's crust created one of the best outdoor dinosaur museums in the country, a place where time doesn't feel buried. It feels alive. 20. The Painted Labyrinth of the Eastern Plains. Hidden in the quiet grasslands of eastern Colorado is a place bursting with color, the Paint Mine's interpretive park. Here, erosion carved soft clay into surreal shapes, pointed hoodoos, maze-like corridors, and smooth walls painted in vivid streaks of red, yellow, orange, lavender, and white. These colors were created by the oxidation of iron-rich minerals that transformed ordinary clay into a natural rainbow. For thousands of years, indigenous people traveled here specifically for these materials. The colorful clays were used for pottery, artwork, and ceremonial paints. In a state famous for mountains, this small corner of the plains feels like discovering a hidden alien landscape. 19. The Great Tectonic Rift of the San Luis Valley. The San Luis Valley is one of the widest, highest mountain valleys in the world, but its peaceful appearance hides a violent geological story. It sits directly on the Rio Grande Rift, a massive tear in the Earth's crust stretching from Mexico into central Colorado. Here, the continent is literally pulling apart. As the valley floor sinks, sediment piles up, in some places burying the bedrock under 3 miles of sand, gravel, and volcanic ash. Under all that lies a vast aquifer supplying water to one of the most important agricultural regions in the high desert. Standing in the middle of the valley, it's hard to believe you're standing on a sinking block of earth surrounded by 2 dramatic mountain ranges rising on either side. Few places better show how continents reshape themselves. 18. The suspended beauty of Hanging Lake. Clinging to the cliffs above Glenwood Canyon is a place that looks impossible, Hanging Lake. This emerald pool sits on a fragile natural dam made of travertine, a mineral created when water rich in carbonates leaves behind tiny mineral deposits. Over thousands of years, these deposits slowly built up into a shelf strong enough to hold an entire lake on a cliffside. Clear water spills into the pool from Bridal Veil Falls, forming thin sheets and moss-lined terraces. The water is so pure it almost glows in sunlight, but this beauty is fragile. Oils from a single human touch can disrupt the delicate chemistry that keeps the travertine growing. Hanging Lake isn't just scenic, it's a reminder of how nature builds masterpieces over ages, one mineral grain at a time. 17. The ancient redwoods of the High Plateau. 34 million years ago, central Colorado looked nothing like it does today. It was warm, humid, and filled with towering redwoods like the ones in modern-day California. Then, a volcanic eruption buried the entire forest in ash and mud, preserving everything instantly. At Florissant Fossil Beds, National Monument, the stone remains of these ancient trees still stand, some with trunks over 14 feet wide. Fossilized leaves, insects, and even spiders remain perfectly captured in the surrounding shale. Today, those petrified redwoods sit at more than 8,000 feet of elevation in a dry mountain meadow, a total transformation of climate and geography. These fossils are time capsules showing just how dramatically the Earth has changed. 16. The vertical shadows of the Black Canyon. The Black Canyon of the Gunnison is one of the most dramatic landscapes in America, a place where the Earth seems carved by a blade rather than a river. The canyon is so steep and so narrow that sunlight barely reaches the bottom. Some sections only receive 33 minutes of sunlight a day. The walls rise over 2,200 feet, made of some of the oldest and hardest rock on the continent. Dark Precambrian stone cut with pale veins that glow like lightning frozen in rock. The most iconic feature, the painted wall, is the tallest cliff in Colorado. Its streaks of pink and white rock were formed by molten magma squeezing into cracks millions of years ago. This canyon isn't wide and gentle like the Grand Canyon. It's sharp, deep, violent, a monument to the raw power of water over unimaginable time. 15. The stubborn plateau that diverted a river. The Uncompahgre Plateau is a massive, slowly rising block of earth that changed the paths of rivers. Millions of years ago, the Colorado and Gunnison rivers flowed straight across the region. But as the plateau tilted upward, the rivers were forced to carve new routes around it. There is one exception, a strange and silent canyon called Unaweep Canyon. The canyon cuts straight through the plateau, but no large river flows through it today. Instead, two small creeks drip out of opposite ends, like remnants of something that disappeared long ago. Geologists believe a massive ancient river once carved this canyon before being forced out by shifting land. Unaweep Canyon is a geological ghost, a river canyon without a river. 14. The radiating spines of the Spanish Peaks. The Spanish Peaks rise on the southern Colorado plains like twin towers on the horizon, but it's what surrounds them that steals the show. Dozens of long, perfectly straight rock walls, called dikes, shoot outward from the mountains like the ribs of a giant stone creature. These walls formed when molten rock forced its way into cracks in the surrounding sedimentary layers. When the softer rock eroded away, the harder igneous rock remained, forming vertical walls that can stretch miles across the plains. From above, the pattern looks almost artificial, as if nature tried to draw a massive sunburst into the ground. This rare geological formation is one of the most visually striking features in the entire Rocky Mountain region. 13. The ghostly formations of the Wheeler area. Deep in the La Garita Wilderness lies the Wheeler Geological Area, a remote and eerie landscape carved from ancient volcanic ash. The rock here is tough, soft, compressed ash left behind by one of the largest volcanic eruptions in Earth's history. Wind, rain, and time have sculpted this fragile stone into spires, ridges, towers, and fantastical shapes. Some formations resemble melting castles. Others look like alien creatures frozen in mid-stride. All of them create a dreamlike stone city surrounded by dense forest. Reaching Wheeler requires a difficult trek or rugged drive, which keeps the area untouched, peaceful, and strangely haunting. It's one of Colorado's least visited and most magical landscapes. 12. The highest city on the continent. At 10,152 feet, Leadville is the highest incorporated city in North America, a place where the air is thin, the winters are long, and the landscapes feel almost otherworldly. Once one of the richest silver mining towns in the United States, Leadville grew in a location most people would struggle to endure. Water boils faster here, athletes train here, even walking up a hill feels different. The town sits in a high alpine valley surrounded by towering mountains, including two of Colorado's tallest peaks. Clouds often drift below the rooftops. Nights get cold even in summer. Despite the harsh conditions, Leadville thrived. Its history is a story of resilience, a community built in the sky. 11. The creeping giant of Slumgullion. Near Lake City moves one of the strangest geologic forces in Colorado, the Slumgullion earth flow. This massive landslide didn't happen in a sudden burst. It has been slowly moving for 700 years, and it's still shifting by up to 20 feet each year. The slide began when volcanic rock weathered into slippery clay. Eventually, gravity took over and the entire mountainside started gliding downhill like a slow-motion river of earth. The flow was so massive it blocked the lake fork of the Gunnison River, forming Lake San Cristobal, now the second largest natural lake in the state. As the ground continues to move, trees tilt into odd angles, a phenomenon locals call drunken trees, marking the landscape as alive, shifting, and unpredictable. 10. The paradox of the cross-cutting river. In Colorado's Paradox Valley, the land plays tricks on the rules of geography. Here, the Dolores River doesn't flow along the valley floor like every river should, it cuts perpendicular across it. This strange path is the result of geological timing. The river carved its course long before the valley formed. Later, a massive underground salt dome collapsed, causing the valley to sink. Instead of rerouting, the Dolores River simply kept slicing through the rising canyon walls. It became an antecedent river, holding its ground while the landscape changed around it. The result is a valley where the river's behavior seems backwards, a rare reminder that sometimes water refuses to follow the rules. 9. The solitary sentinels of the plains. Rising above the quiet grasslands of eastern Colorado are the Pawnee Buttes, two towering mesas that stand like stone fortresses in a sea of prairie. Their flat tops were protected by tough sandstone caps, while the softer rock beneath slowly eroded over millions of years. Now, the buttes rise nearly 300 feet above the plains, offering unmatched views of the surrounding wilderness. The area is a treasure trove of fossils. Ancient horses, camels, rhinoceroses, and even early ancestors of modern mammals have been found in the eroding cliffs. The Pawnee Buttes remind visitors that even Colorado's flattest landscapes have stories written vertically, etched into stone layer by layer. 8. The gold-plated volcanic throat. The town of Cripple Creek sits inside the throat of an ancient volcano, a vast geological structure formed by violent eruptions 30 million years ago. As the volcanic complex cooled, superheated mineral-rich fluids moved through cracks in the rock. When the fluids cooled, they left behind stunning concentrations of gold. This single volcanic system produced more gold than the California and Alaska gold rushes combined. Today, Cripple Creek sits in a rugged mining district carved directly into volcanic rock. It's one of the few places in the world where an entire town rests inside the remains of a collapsed volcano that once filled the sky with ash. 7. The tilted table of the ancestral Puebloans. Mesa Verde is one of the most famous archaeological sites in America, but the secret behind its cliff dwellings lies in the land itself. Despite its name, Mesa Verde is actually a cuesta, a tilted plateau with a gentle slope on one side and sheer cliffs on the other. This tilt was critical. Rainwater seeped into the porous sandstone, filtered downward, and hit a sealed layer of shale. Because the entire landmass slants southward, water moved sideways through the rock and emerged as springs in the cliff faces. Over time, the flowing water carved the massive alcoves where the ancestral Puebloans built their iconic stone cities. Mesa Verde is a rare example of geology creating the perfect conditions for human settlement, a civilization shaped by the angle of a plateau. 6. The fragile kingdom of the alpine tundra. Above 11,000 feet, Colorado becomes a world ruled by wind, ice, and extremes. This is the alpine tundra, a landscape where trees cannot survive, the air is thin, and the ground stays frozen much of the year. Even in summer, temperatures can drop below freezing. The soil behaves differently here. During brief warm periods, the top layer thaws and slowly slides downhill, creating strange patterns like stone stripes, circles, and polygon fields, natural artwork created by freeze-thaw cycles. Plants hug the ground, growing tiny leaves and blooming miniature flowers to survive brutal winds. Some take decades just to grow a few inches. This tundra is nearly identical to environments in the Arctic, yet it exists in a state that shares a latitude with the Mediterranean. Colorado holds entire ecosystems from another world. 5. The red giants of the Elk Mountains. The Maroon Bells are among the most photographed peaks in North America, and their color tells a deeper story. Unlike most of Colorado's granite peaks, the bells are made of mudstone, formed from ancient marine sediment compressed into rock over millions of years. The red color comes from iron minerals oxidizing, essentially rusting, over time. Mudstone is far softer and more brittle than granite. It crumbles easily, it fractures unpredictably, it makes climbing dangerous, but it also makes the bells glow a deep maroon color at sunrise, creating a postcard-perfect view that feels almost unreal. Reflections in Maroon Lake double the effect, making the mountains look like a painting. Their beauty is undeniable, and their fragility gives them a reputation as some of the most treacherous mountains in Colorado. 4. The sudden rise of the Front Range. Where the Great Plains meet the Rocky Mountains, there is no gentle transition. The land simply erupts upward. This dramatic boundary is the Front Range, formed during the Laramide orogeny when tectonic forces shoved massive slabs of rock skyward. From Denver, the rise looks almost vertical. One moment the land is flat, dry and open. The next, mountains shoot thousands of feet into the sky. This sudden elevation shift creates a powerful rain shadow effect. Moist air hits the mountains and dumps snow on the peaks. When the air crosses into the plains, it becomes warm, dry, and windy. It's why you can look west and watch a blizzard while standing in sunshine. It's one of America's sharpest and most dramatic geological boundaries. 3. The secret ocean beneath the grass. Beneath much of eastern Colorado lies a silent record of an ancient sea, the Pierre Shale, formed at the bottom of the western interior seaway. Around 70 million years ago, a vast ocean covered the entire Midwest and stretched from the Gulf of Mexico to the Arctic. Colorado sat at the deepest part of that sea. Over millions of years, fine mud and organic materials settled onto the seafloor, eventually forming a dense, dark shale thousands of feet thick. Today, this shale traps oil and natural gas, expands and contracts with moisture, cracks foundations and warps roads, creates unique fossils. Right below the grasslands lies a fossilized ocean floor, a reminder that Colorado once rested beneath waves instead of mountains. 2. The rushing stairs of the Arkansas River. From its icy headwaters near Leadville, the Arkansas River drops an astonishing 5,000 feet in just 125 miles, one of the steepest descents of any major river in the country. As the water rushes downhill, it carves deep canyons, powers hydroelectric stations, and creates some of the best whitewater rapids in North America. This steep gradient acts like a natural conveyor belt, transporting snowmelt from the Rockies to the Great Plains with tremendous force. Canyon walls twist around the river. The sound of crashing water echoes for miles. Entire landscapes were shaped by this fast-moving descent. The Arkansas River doesn't just flow, it surges. 1. The Great Fountain of the American West. Colorado's greatest geographical power isn't its mountains, it's its water. Because of its high elevation and enormous snowpack, the state acts as the water tower of the West, feeding 18 states and parts of Mexico. Here, 4 major rivers begin their journeys. The Colorado River, flowing toward the Pacific, the Rio Grande, traveling to the Gulf of Mexico, the Arkansas River, rushing toward the Midwest, and the Platte River, heading to the Missouri. Colorado is the only state where every major river flows outward and none flow inward. A single snowstorm on a high ridge of the Rockies can eventually become drinking water for Los Angeles, irrigation for Nebraska, or part of a delta in Mexico. In a region where water shapes economies, cities, and entire civilizations, Colorado sits at the center, the fountain that keeps the West alive. Colorado isn't just a state, it's a warning label for the rest of the map. If one place can hide deserts in the mountains, oceans under the grass, rivers that refuse to follow the rules, and snow that turns into drinking water for half a continent, what else is lurking inside the other states we think we already understand? The next state on this journey doesn't just match Colorado's weirdness, it breaks it. Check out the next video on your screen. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.